The discovery and warning the Veilthran, Discovery Commander Crix Veilthorn stood on the observation deck of the Sovereign's Wrath, his four arms clasped behind his armored back as he gazed at the blue-green planet rotating slowly before them. The third planet of this unremarkable star system had caught their attention during a routine expansion survey, primarily because of the electromagnetic signatures indicating intelligent life. Status report Navigator Zeth, Crix commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered 17 worlds for the Vorthak Empire. Navigator Zeth, a smaller Veilthran with distinctive silver markings across his elongated skull, consulted his scanning equipment. The planet shows signs of industrial development, Commander. Population approximately 8 billion. They appear to be in their early technological phase, barely beyond chemical propulsion. No evidence of faster-than-light capability or energy weapons. Crix's mandibles clicked in amusement. Another primitive world ripe for incorporation into the Empire. The Veilthrans had perfected this process over 3 centuries, establishing themselves as one of the dominant forces in this spiral arm of the galaxy. Their approach was simple and effective. Identify developing civilizations, assess their resources, and either negotiate tributary status or simply take what they needed. Any notable defensive capabilities? Crix asked, though he expected the usual answer. Minimal, sir. They possess nuclear weapons, but nothing that could threaten our shields. Their space presence is limited to a few orbital installations and communication satellites. By our standards, they're barely past their Stone Age. The bridge crew shared knowing looks. Every world they'd encountered at this technological level had surrendered within days of first contact. Some had even welcomed the Veilthrans as gods or saviors. It made conquest almost boring. The unexpected message, sir. Communications Officer Plex suddenly straightened at her station, all 4 of her eyes blinking rapidly in surprise. We're receiving a transmission from the planet. It appears to be directed at us specifically. Crix's interest peaked slightly. Most primitive species took weeks to notice their presence, even when the Veilthrans wanted to be detected. On screen, the main viewer flickered to life, showing a human female in what appeared to be a military uniform. She had brown skin, short, dark hair, and eyes that seemed far too calm for someone supposedly encountering aliens for the first time. Behind her, Crix could see what looked like a sophisticated command center, though he dismissed it as primitive by their standards. Greetings to the vessels of the Vorthak Empire, the human began, her voice steady and professional. I am Admiral Sarah Chun of the United Earth Defense Command. We've been monitoring your approach for the past 72 hours. Murmurs of surprise rippled across the bridge. 72 hours? Their stealth systems should have made detection impossible at this technological level. The human continued, we know why you're here. We've studied your expansion patterns, your methods, and your typical approach to species like ours. We're transmitting this message to inform you that Earth is under the protection of the Seoul Defense Coalition, and any aggressive action will be met with appropriate response. Crix found himself laughing, a sound like grinding metal that echoed through the bridge. Seoul Defense Coalition? These creatures have formed some sort of planetary alliance? How quaint. But Admiral Chun wasn't finished. Commander Crix Veilthorn of the Sovereign's Wrath, you and your fleet have exactly 24 hours to withdraw from our solar system. This is not a negotiation. This is not a bluff. This is your only warning. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. The human had known his name, his ship's designation, and had spoken with the confidence of someone holding all the advantages. The Empire's dismissal. How did they know my name? Crix demanded, turning to his intelligence officer. Lieutenant Vorn, responsible for pre-invasion reconnaissance, looked genuinely puzzled. Unknown, sir. Our surveillance has been passive and undetectable. We've monitored their communications networks for months without any indication they were aware of our presence. Perhaps they intercepted our communications, suggested Navigator Zeth. Impossible, Plex replied firmly. Our quantum encryption is unbreakable by any civilization below Class 7 technology. These humans are barely Class 3. Crix paced the bridge, his tactical mind working through the implications. Either the humans had help from a more advanced species, or they were far more capable than initial assessments indicated. Neither possibility was pleasant, but both seemed unlikely given the evidence. Analysis of their technology? Ask Science Officer Drac. Drac manipulated holographic displays showing Earth's industrial and military capabilities. Surface scans confirm our initial assessment, Commander. Nuclear weapons, chemical rockets, primitive computing systems. Nothing that should pose a threat to even a single Veilfran destroyer, let alone our full battle group. Then how do you explain their knowledge of our presence? Luck, perhaps? Or they may have captured technology from another species. The galaxy has many travelers, after all. That was possible, Crix admitted. Smugglers, traders, and explorers from various civilizations occasionally made contact with primitive worlds. Perhaps these humans had acquired some basic detection equipment through such an encounter. Preparation for easy victory, sir. Tactical Officer Brick spoke up from his station. What are your orders regarding their ultimatum? The bridge crew waited for their commander's response. Crix had never retreated from a world, especially not one that showed such obvious signs of valuable resources. The planet's biosphere was remarkably Earth-like by galactic standards, and initial scans suggested substantial mineral wealth. We proceed as planned, Crix announced. Deploy reconnaissance drones for detailed surface mapping. I want to know the location of every military installation, government center, and population hub. Will show these humans what happens when primitives threaten the Vorthak Empire. Should we attempt diplomatic contact first? Asked Vorn. Standard protocol suggests standard protocol is for civilizations that show proper respect. Crix cut him off. These humans have issued threats. They need to learn their place in the galactic order. Over the next several hours, the Veilfran fleet moved into optimal position around Earth. Their 12 destroyers and 3 heavy cruisers formed a standard intimidation formation, designed to demonstrate overwhelming force to any planetary government. It had worked flawlessly on dozens of worlds. The reconnaissance drones deployed successfully, mapping Earth's surface with precision. What they found confirmed initial assessments, a technologically developing species with impressive population centers but minimal space-based defenses. Their largest weapons were crude, nuclear missiles that couldn't penetrate Veilfran shields even if they could reach orbital altitude. The warning ignored as the 24-hour deadline approached, Crix received another transmission from Admiral Chun. This time, she appeared even more composed, standing in what looked like a situation room filled with humans in military uniforms. Commander Veilthorn, you have 3 hours remaining before our deadline expires. We strongly encourage you to reconsider your position. Withdrawal now will be considered a peaceful resolution to this situation. Send a response, Crix ordered. Tell this Admiral Chun that the Veilfran Empire does not retreat from primitive worlds. She has one opportunity to surrender her planet's resources peacefully, or we will take them by force. The reply came within minutes. Admiral Chen's expression hadn't changed, but there was something in her eyes that made Crix momentarily uncomfortable. Commander, you have chosen poorly. Earth's response will be proportional to the threat you represent. You've sealed your fate with your arrogance. Earth Defense Command out. Sealed our fate? Crix laughed again, though this time it sounded forced even to his own ears. What could they possibly do to us? The first strike with 1 hour remaining until the human deadline, Crix decided to demonstrate Veilfran superiority. Target their largest city with a precision strike. Something dramatic, but limited. Show them what our weapons can do without causing excessive casualties. Sir, Bricks reported from tactical, optimal target identified. Population center designated New York. Shall I charge the plasma cannons? Proceed. Minimum power setting. We want to impress them, not exterminate them. Dead workers have no value. The Sovereign's wrath positioned itself in optimal firing position. Its main plasma cannon, capable of cracking a planet's crust at full power, charged to barely 1% of maximum output. It would be enough to level several city blocks while leaving the rest intact, a perfect demonstration of what resistance would cost them. Firing solution locked, Brix announced, "Fire." The plasma beam lanced toward Earth's surface, a brilliant streak of destructive energy that should have vaporized everything in its path. Instead, something extraordinary happened. As the beam approached Earth's atmosphere, it seemed to hit an invisible barrier and simply stopped. The energy dissipated harmlessly, creating a brief aurora-like display in the upper atmosphere. "What just happened?" Crix demanded. "Unknown, sir." Brix frantically checked his instruments. The beam dispersed before impact. Energy. Readings suggest some form of shield technology, but the power requirements would be impossible for a Class 3 civilization, Science Officer Drac finished, his voice barely a whisper. The revelation begins. Admiral Chen appeared on screen without being hailed, her image somehow overriding their own communication protocols. Behind her, Crix could now see displays showing what looked like advanced tactical information, including detailed schematics of Veilthran ship designs. "Commander Veilthorn, you just fired on civilian population centers. That was a mistake. Earth Defense Command is now authorized to respond with all necessary force." "Impossible." Crix snarled. "Your species lacks the technology for planetary shields. Our species has had many teachers, Commander, and we've proven to be excellent students. You have 10 minutes to begin withdrawal procedures, or we will demonstrate exactly what we've learned." The transmission ended, leaving the Veilthran bridge in chaos. Every assumption they'd made about this species was proving wrong. Planetary shielding required massive energy generation capabilities and gravitational manipulation technology that even the Veilthrans had only recently mastered. "Sir," Navigator Zeth called out urgently, "long-range sensors are detecting energy spikes across the planet's surface. Multiple locations showing power signatures consistent with." His report was cut off as warning alarms began blaring throughout the ship. On the tactical display, dozens of new contacts appeared around Earth, seemingly materializing from nowhere. "Ships decloaking." Plex announced, "Massive energy signatures. Commander, these aren't human vessels. The designs are completely unknown." Crix stared at the display in growing horror. Sleek, predatory-looking craft surrounded Earth like a protective shell, their energy readings off the charts. These weren't primitive human constructions. They were clearly advanced alien technology. "Sir," Vorn said quietly, "I think we need to reconsider our assessment of this species." The 10-minute deadline was approaching rapidly, and Crix realized with growing dread that the humans' warning might have been more than empty bravado. Whatever Earth's true capabilities were, the Veilthran Empire was about to find out the hard way. At a S proximity, alarms began screaming warnings about weapons locks from the mysterious fleet. Crix understood that Admiral Chen's final words carried a terrible truth. They had indeed sealed their fate by underestimating humanity. The invasion of Earth was about to begin, but suddenly it wasn't clear who would be doing the invading. The revelation and counterattack the hidden fleet revealed the silence on the bridge of the Sovereign's Wrath was deafening as Commander Crix stared at the tactical display. What had moments before shown a defenseless planet surrounded by primitive satellites now revealed a nightmare scenario. 67 unknown vessels had materialized around Earth, their sleek designs unlike anything in Veilthran databases. "Combat analysis." Crix barked, his 4 arms gesticulating frantically. Tactical Officer Brix's voice trembled as he read the incoming data. "Sir, these ships are registering energy signatures that exceed our own capital vessels. Hull composition appears to be some form of adaptive alloy, and their weapon systems are—" "Commander, I'm reading technology signatures from at least 4 different alien civilizations." "That's impossible," Science Officer Drac interjected, manipulating holographic displays with increasing desperation. "The energy requirements alone would bankrupt most planetary economies." How could a primitive species maintain such a fleet? The answer came in the form of Admiral Chen's voice cutting through their communication channels without authorization, a feat that should have been technologically impossible. Commander Valethorn, you seem surprised. Perhaps your intelligence gathering wasn't as thorough as you believed. Her image appeared on their main screen, but now Crix could see the true scope of the command center behind her. Advanced holographic displays showed real-time positions of every Valethran ship, complete with detailed schematics highlighting structural weaknesses. How? Crix managed to whisper. Earth has been preparing for this moment for 47 years. Commander, your empire isn't the first to attempt conquest of our world. The difference is that we learned from every encounter. The teachers from the star's Admiral Chen gestured, and the display behind her shifted to show historical footage. Crix watched in growing horror as he recognized the distinctive hull patterns of Zilithian exploration vessels, Corvin research ships, and even the elegant curves of Etherian diplomatic cruisers. The Zilithians arrived in 1977, Chen explained calmly. They came in peace, seeking to study our developing civilization. We welcomed them, learned from them, and when the dozens of worlds powered down as their energy was somehow reversed back into their own cores. Sir, Brix called out in terror. They're not destroying our ships, they're converting them. The energy patterns are rewriting our technology at the molecular level. Crix watched in horror as destroyer after destroyer was transformed before his eyes. Valethran vessels became something else entirely, their hulls reshaping themselves into the same sleek designs as the human fleet. The crews weren't killed, they were simply trapped inside ships that no longer responded to their commands. Retreat! Crix ordered desperately. All remaining ships, emergency jump to hyperspace. Jump drives are not responding. Navigator Zeth reported, something is preventing us from entering hyperspace. The Void Walkers taught us about hyperspace interdiction, Chin explained, her voice now coming from everywhere at once. After your empire collapsed their pocket universe, the survivors were quite thorough in their explanations of faster-than-light physics. The price of arrogance within an hour, the entire Valethran invasion fleet had been neutralized. Not destroyed, converted. 12 destroyers and 3 heavy cruisers that had entered the Sol system under Valethran command now orbited Earth as part of its defense network, their crews alive but powerless aboard ships that obeyed only human commands. Crix found himself alone on his bridge as his crew was systematically teleported away by technology he couldn't understand. The ship's systems had been completely subverted, responding only to commands from Earth. Admiral Chun materialized on his bridge, not as a hologram, but as a physical presence transported by methods that defied Valethran's science. Commander Valethorn, she said calmly, you and your crews will be treated according to the same humanitarian standards we extend to all refugees. You'll be given the opportunity to contribute to our growing civilization, just as every other displaced people has done. You can't do this, Crix protested weakly. The Empire will send more fleets, larger ones. You cannot fight the entire Valethran military. Chin smiled, and for the first time, Crix saw something truly terrifying in her expression, not anger or hatred, but pity. Commander, your empire has been fighting Earth for 47 years without realizing it. Every world you've conquered, every species you've displaced, every technology you've stolen, all of it has ultimately served to make us stronger. We are no longer just humanity. We are the combined knowledge and determination of every civilization that refused to bow to galactic bullies. She gestured toward the viewing ports, where Earth hung in space surrounded by its impossible fleet. Your empire created us, Commander. Every act of conquest, every displaced people, every burned world has added to our strength. And now we're going to return the favor. The new reality as Crix was led away to join his crew in comfortable but secure detention, he caught a glimpse of Earth's true scope. The planet's surface showed massive construction projects that dwarfed anything the Valethran Empire had attempted. Space elevators stretched into orbit, connecting to shipyards that produced vessels beyond his understanding. But more disturbing was what he saw in the outer system. Massive ring structures around Jupiter, constructed from the combined technologies of dozens of alien civilizations. Mining operations on the asteroids that employed engineering techniques from across the galaxy. And everywhere, humans working alongside aliens in peaceful cooperation. Earth hadn't just defended itself, it had become something unprecedented in galactic history. A civilization built not on conquest, but on refuge, not on dominance, but on cooperation. Every species that sought peace found sanctuary. Every technology that could improve life was welcomed and improved upon. And every empire that attempted conquest found itself facing the accumulated knowledge and bitter experience of every people it had wronged. The message goes out. Admiral Chun stood in the converted command center of the Sovereign's Wrath, now rechristened as New Harmony. Around her, human and alien technicians worked together to process the wealth of intelligence gathered from the Veilfran fleet. Begin transmission to all Veilfran territories, she ordered. The message that went out across space was simple and devastating. Video footage of the battle, detailed intelligence about Earth's true capabilities, and a formal declaration that resonated throughout the galaxy. This is Admiral Sarah Chun of the Seoul Defense Coalition. The Veilfran invasion fleet has been neutralized and incorporated into our defense network. All surviving personnel are being treated with dignity and respect. The same dignity and respect that should have been extended to the countless civilizations your empire has conquered. Earth hereby declares itself the sanctuary world for all peoples displaced by galactic conflicts. Any species seeking refuge will find welcome here. Any empire seeking conquest will find that they have awakened something they cannot understand or control. The age of expansion through domination is ending. The age of growth through cooperation has begun. Choose wisely which future you wish to be part of. The transmission ended, but its implications would reshape the political landscape of the galaxy. In the depths of space, other empires began receiving reports from their scouts and traders. Earth had revealed itself not as a primitive world ripe for conquest, but as something far more dangerous, an example of what could be accomplished when civilizations chose cooperation over conquest. And in the Veilfran home system, Emperor Thrakis received the most devastating military report in his empire's history. An entire invasion fleet had been captured without a single human casualty. The galaxy would never be the same. The aftermath and new galaxy order the Emperor's Rage Emperor Thrakis of. The Veilfran Empire stood in his war chamber, his massive form trembling with rage as he absorbed the catastrophic reports flowing in from across the galaxy. The chamber's walls, decorated with trophies from conquered worlds, seemed to mock him as he learned the truth about Earth's capabilities. 15 invasion fleets, he growled, his voice echoing off the metallic surfaces. 15 separate battle groups sent to deal with this human problem, and not one has returned. War Marshal Vex, the Empire's most decorated military commander, stood rigid before his emperor. His scarred carapace bore witness to dozens of successful campaigns, but even he appeared shaken by the reports streaming in from their remaining territories. Your Magnificence, Vex began carefully, the humans appear to have been preparing for large-scale conflict for decades. Our intelligence networks have been completely compromised. Every species we've conquered or displaced seems to have found sanctuary on Earth or its colony worlds. Thrakis' 4 eyes blazed with fury. They were supposed to be a primitive single-planet species. Vex activated a holographic display showing the Sol system and beyond. Red markers indicated confirmed human presence, while orange markers showed suspected activities. The display was overwhelming, hundreds of installations spread across dozens of star systems. Sir, it appears they've been expanding quietly for the past 30 years. Our scouts report mining operations, research stations, and what appear to be refugee settlements throughout this entire sector. They've built a civilization we never detected. The Emperor's massive fist crashed into the war table, creating a spider web of cracks across its surface. How is this possible? Our intelligence apparatus is the finest in the galaxy. They've been using our own expansion against us, Vex admitted reluctantly. Every world we conquered, every species we displaced, many of them somehow found their way to Earth. And each one brought knowledge of our methods, our weaknesses, our technology. The spreading rebellion communications, Officer Prax suddenly straightened at her station, her antenna quivering with agitation. Your Magnificence, urgent reports from the outer territories. Multiple systems are declaring independence from the Empire. What? Thrakis turned, his bulk casting shadows across the chamber. The Corvin Protectorate has announced they're joining something called the Soul Defense Coalition. Prax continued, her voice barely steady. The Zilithian Republic is withdrawing from all Empire treaties. The Heliarch remnants are demanding reparations for their destroyed worlds. War Marshal Vex studied incoming intelligence reports with growing alarm. Sir, these aren't random rebellions. They're coordinated. The humans appear to be leveraging every refugee population they've harbored to destabilize our territorial holdings. The holographic display shifted to show the Vorthak Empire's territories. Red zones indicating rebellion or independence movements spread like an infection across their holdings. Worlds that had been conquered decades ago were suddenly producing ships and weapons that matched human technological capabilities. The humans shared their technology, Vex realized aloud. Every species they've helped, every refugee population they've harbored, they've armed them all with the same adaptive technologies they used against our fleets. Earth's new allies Admiral Chun stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, Earth's newest orbital platform. The massive structure served as headquarters for the rapidly expanding Soul Defense Coalition, and through its transparent aluminum viewports, she could see dozens of ships from various alien civilizations coming and going. Status report she requested from Captain Torres, her newly appointed liaison to the Coalition. Fleet. Admiral, we now have formal defense packs with 23 different species, Torres reported, consulting his holographic display. The Corvin have provided us with detailed intelligence on Vorthak military installations throughout the Outer Rim. The Zilithians are sharing their advanced sensor technologies. The Etherian refugees have been instrumental in establishing our faster-than-light communication network. Chin nodded, watching as a sleek Corvin warship docked with the station. These weren't the desperate refugees who had fled to Earth decades ago. They were representatives of worlds that had rebuilt their strength in secret, waiting for the right moment to strike back at their oppressors. And the Vorthak response. Increasingly desperate, Torres replied grimly. Intelligence suggests they're mobilizing their core fleet, over 300 capital ships. They're planning a direct assault on Earth. Let them come, Chin said quietly. We've prepared for this moment longer than they know. The secret of human innovation DR. Elena Vasquez, Earth's chief xenotechnology researcher, stood before a gathering of coalition scientists in the deepest levels of Unity Station. Around her, representatives from dozens of alien civilizations listened intently as she explained the foundation of Earth's rapid technological advancement. The key to our success has never been superior intelligence or advanced manufacturing, she began, gesturing to holographic displays showing various alien technologies. It's been our approach to problem solving. The display showed side-by-side comparisons of technologies from different civilizations. Zilithian energy manipulation systems, Corvin defensive matrices, Etherian dimensional physics, Heliarch quantum computing, dozens of apparently incompatible technological approaches. Most species develop along predictable technological paths, Dr. Vasquez continued. Energy manipulation leads to plasma weapons. Defensive technology focuses on shield generation. Dimensional physics remains theoretical, but humans do something different. We integrate. She activated a new display showing human ships and their adaptive capabilities. We don't see incompatible technologies. We see puzzle pieces waiting to be combined. Zilithian energy manipulation integrated with Corvin defensive matrices, creates adaptive armor. Etherian dimensional physics, combined with heliarc quantum computing, produces ships that can exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. A Corvin scientist, his crystalline form reflecting the chamber's lights, spoke up. But the energy requirements for such integration should be impossible. The power needed to maintain multiple technological systems simultaneously would overload any known power source. Dr. Vasquez smiled. That's where human innovation truly shines. We don't try to power everything, we make the technologies power each other. Each system feeds energy back into the network, creating a self-sustaining technological ecology. The core fleet's last stand Emperor Thrakis stood on the bridge of the Galactic Dominator, the Empire's largest and most powerful dreadnought. Around him, the assembled might of the Veilfran core fleet prepared for what many believed would be the final battle for the Empire's survival. 317 capital ships, including 12 super dreadnoughts, formed the largest military force the Veilfrans had ever assembled. It represented centuries of conquest, the accumulated might of dozens of conquered civilizations, and the technological pinnacle of their empire. "Sir," reported Admiral Keth from her position at the tactical station, "long-range sensors detect the human fleet moving to intercept. Initial count suggests approximately 400 vessels." 400? Thrakis laughed, though the sound carried less confidence than he intended. "They've assembled every ship they have for this battle. When we crush them here, their resistance dies with them." But as the two fleets approached each other in the space between star systems, something unprecedented began to happen. The human fleet wasn't just approaching, it was growing. Ships seemed to materialize from nowhere, their sleek forms appearing as if stepping out of dimensional folds. "Sir." Admiral Keth's voice carried a note of panic. Additional contacts appearing throughout the battle space. The human fleet now numbers over 800 vessels. War Marshal Vex studied the tactical displays with growing horror. "Those aren't just human ships. I'm reading Corvin Energy Signature's Zilithian hull configurations, Etherian drive systems. They've assembled a coalition fleet." The final battle what followed would be remembered as the Battle of the Void, the engagement that ended the age of galactic empires built on conquest and began the era of cooperative civilizations. The Veilfran core fleet attacked with everything they had. Super dreadnoughts. Etherian energy forms flickered in specially designed atmospheric chambers. Zilithian hive minds communicated through harmonic vibrations that had been translated into audible speech for other species. This was what they had built from the ashes of conquest, not an empire, but a true civilization. Earth's final message. As the first session of the Grand Assembly commenced, Admiral Chin stepped to the central podium. The chamber fell silent as her words were transmitted not just to the assembled representatives, but across the galaxy to every world, every station, every ship capable of receiving the signal. "Citizens of the galaxy," she began, 47 years ago, Earth received its first visitors from the stars. They came as refugees, fleeing the destruction of their worlds. We welcomed them not because we were naive, but because we understood a fundamental truth. Strength comes not from what you can take, but from what you can build together. The assembled delegates listened as Chun continued, her words carrying the weight of history. "Today marks the beginning of a new age. An age where civilizations grow through cooperation rather than conquest, where technological advancement serves the common good rather than military dominance, where refugees become teachers and former enemies become allies." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the diverse assembly. The empires built on conquest told their subjects that resistance was futile. We have proven them wrong. We have shown that cooperation is stronger than oppression, that diversity is more powerful than uniformity, that hope is more enduring than fear. The chamber erupted in applause, clicks, harmonic resonances, and other expressions of approval from dozens of different species. To those who still cling to the old ways of empire and domination, we extend this final invitation. Join us in building something greater than any single civilization could achieve alone. The choice is yours, but remember, you have already sealed your fate by showing us what we needed to become. As the applause died down and the real work of building a galactic civilization began, Admiral Chun reflected on the words that had started it all. You have sealed your fate, she had told Commander Crix so long ago. She had meant it then, and it had proven true in ways the Veilfrans could never have imagined to be why, attempting to conquer Earth, they had indeed sealed their fate, not to destruction, but to irrelevance. The galaxy had moved beyond them, choosing cooperation over conquest, growth over domination, hope over fear. Earth's final transmission had been prophetic after all. Humanity would not forgive. They would do something far more powerful. They would build a future where forgiveness was no longer necessary. Because conquest itself had become a relic of the past, the age of empires was over. The age of civilization had begun at the end.